Hey guys, so today I'm here for 7 on Sunday. So today we're going to be talking about the authors that we own the most books from. So obviously all of us will have our favorite authors, but also there's a lot of people out there that just write a lot of books. So even if they're not a favorite, you end up owning so many of them because they can either be so different or a part of a massive series. Like, there is honestly so many books out there, but it is great when you get to read so many from like one author. And to be honest, I am way too lazy to grab every single book that these authors have written from my shelves because it is just a lot of effort. And also what's really annoying is years ago Goodreads had this tool where it would actually tally the number of books you've read from every single author, and whoever had the most was at the top of the list, and it would actually tell you this information that you needed to know, and also what books you had actually read from that author. So I'm very mad that they took that feature away because I loved making a video about it once a year to see how the list would like change, and then Goodreads ruined it for me. But let's get into the video of the authors that I have the most books from. So the first one I want to talk about has to be Cassandra Clare, because there is literally like a million books in the Shadowhunters universe, and there are so many companion novels and things that are going on. And like, if you've read the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, the Dark Artificers, the Lost Hours, the Wicked Powers is coming out. She's got the Lost Book of the White. She has all the novella series, and she also wrote the Iron Trials with Holly Black, I think. But there is so many books from her, and honestly anyone who is a Cassandra Clare fan will have 20 plus books on their shelves that are from her, because she is a very popular author, but she just bangs out books so quickly that you just will keep piling them up. And I just love how much she writes, and I love what she writes. So she's definitely one of my favorite authors because she just has so much out there. The next one is Sarah J Maas, who is another person that does end up writing a lot of books. So the Throne of Glass series has 8 books in it, including the novella collection. The Court of Thorns and Roses has 4 books with the novella, and there's going to be 3 more in that series. She wrote the book about Catwoman, and she also has Crescent City, so that is a lot of books out there from her as well. And she again is one of my favorite authors, and I still am so excited that I got to see her live in Sydney because she is just one of my faves. But she is honestly one of those auto-buy authors for me, and basically all of these authors are like auto-buy authors because they just keep banging out them books and they are amazing. So the next author I want to talk about is Rochelle Mead. So the main thing that I've written from her is anything Vampire Academy related. So the 6 books of the main series, the 6 books of Bloodlines, and I also read the Glittering Court, and I own that whole trilogy, but I've only read the first one. So that's like 13 books from her, and that is a lot for like one author, and especially for like 2 series having 6 books. Like, that is pretty intense. I do love her writing, but I haven't really read anything new from her, and I don't really pick up any of her other things, but I still do have really fond memories of Vampire Academy. And I was in a real vampire stage when I read Twilight, and I wanted something with more vampires in it, so Vampire Academy was the next thing that I read. But I still really enjoy it, and it was still like in recent years that I finished the Bloodline series, like maybe in the last 5. So I still really love her books, and I feel like at some point in my life I will end up rereading those series just because they're so good. The next author I want to talk about is Amanda Hocking, because I actually do own quite a lot of her books, and I have read pretty much everything from her except for Freaks and her new series, which consists of the Lost City and the Morning Flower. But I have read the Wake Quartet, then I read the Trill trilogy, and then I read the Fire Ice trilogy. So that's 10 books that I've read from her, and I own 3 more, so that's 13 books in total I have from Amanda Hocking. And she is definitely an old school author for me. Like, I used to read her so more often when I was a bit younger, but I still appreciate her as an author, and all the books that she has written are things that I have really enjoyed. So I do like her as an author, and she is one that continuously keeps bringing out more stories, and her writing has really matured over the years. So I do think she is definitely up there as like a favorite author. I just haven't read from her recently. The next one I want to talk about is Claudia Gray, who is another one who has published so many different series, and I am here for it. I read the Evermore one, which was another vampire one about the vampire school, so there's 5 books in that. I've read 1,000 Pieces of You. I've read the Spellcaster trilogy. I read Fateful, which was a standalone about werewolves, and I also read Defy the Stars, which is a sci-fi one, and I own the second one in that. And I can't for the life of me remember if there's any other books of hers that I have read. I don't think so. Like, I think that is where I'm at for Claudia Gray. But basically, every time I went on Goodreads and I saw that she had another series that she wrote, I was here for every premise and every plot line of all of her books, and I wanted to read all of them. And she is another one that just keeps bringing out books as the years go on. I haven't been following her more recently, but I still really appreciate her stories, and they are a lot of my old favorites, so I do really love her. The next author I want to talk about is Marie V. Schneider, because I have also read a lot of books from her. So So Poison Study has 9 books technically, but there's a trilogy in the middle that's about a different character, so that's 9 books. And then I also read the Touch of Power trilogy, so that's another 3, so that's 12. And then I also bought Navigating the Stars from her, and I also can't remember if I have bought any other books. I don't think so, because Poison Study was like an all-time favorite and I really enjoyed it, but then that series just went downhill. And I also really liked Touch of Magic, but at the time I didn't realize how toxic her male characters actually are. Like Valak is amazing, he's never been toxic, he's beautiful, but Devon and bloody Carrick are horrible characters, and mainly the characters that are the side characters are more protective, but so many times their main characters will like assault the female characters and hurt them, and it's awful what they do to them. Like, I cannot believe it sometimes how these characters fall in love with these like aggressive male characters who actually cause them harm and grief. And I'm like, there are so many better options out there for you that don't involve being with these toxic, like overprotective alpha male douchebag type characters. As I get older and as I realize how toxic things can be in her series, I still mention her just so that people know that it's not always going to be a fun time reading a series. But I have still managed to read like 12 books from her, even though these are like traits in there and I don't know why. And the last author I want to say is PC Cast, and I know that she does write with her daughter Kristen Cast as well, but main reason for this is the House of Night series is literally 12 books. Like, this is so many books, and there's 4 novellas, and this is a series that I was like obsessed with when I was younger, and I absolutely loved it. And it was really funny because more recently Sasha actually read the first book and she hated it and thought it was so toxic and so horrible, and I actually had this whole plan of wanting to reread the series, but I don't want to now because I know I'm going to reread it and see all these bad traits in all the characters and I'm going to end up hating it. And I just want to live in my little bubble when I liked this series when I was like 13 and not like have it wrecked for me, because Stark is still like one of my all-time favorite book boyfriends because I loved him so much. He was just such a good character and one of these people that I am absolutely in love with, and I don't want to be told that he was like toxic and horrible because I just don't want to accept that. But when I was reading House of Night, I was so excited because I remember I got the first 3 books from my auntie for Christmas, and my mum also bought me the next 3 books, so I had the first 6, and I think it took me a week and a half to read those. Like, I was just sitting on the couch reading them like 3 days it would take me to get one of those books done, and then I had to keep going to Kmart and saving up money to like try and buy the next one so I could read it. Like, the excitement that you have when you're younger for reading is so crazy, and especially before you start doing BookTube, because BookTube can make everything so draining, but also when you get older and you have responsibilities like a job and working full-time and doing all the things that you need to do, like, you don't have time for reading like you used to, where you could just drop everything and read a book in 3 days. That doesn't happen anymore, and I just think back on these things like so fondly. But I definitely do appreciate the House of Night series, but I don't want to know about how badly it aged. But anyway guys, that is all of my like most owned authors. Like, there's probably a few others that I do own a lot of their books for, but I just didn't want to mention them because they might not be like per se favorites. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I see you guys next time. Bye!